You are now locked in to the Sitting Down with the Sisters podcast.
Hi guys.
Hi guys.
Welcome back to Sitting Down with the Sisters podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Ayo.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Temi.
Oh my days, we did not do that
in our
previous
episode.
This is how you know we were too excited. But yes, for those who are
And
new,
we were rushed.
we said it again.
If you see that.
Well, I'm Ashley.
I'm Ayo.
And I'm Temi.
Yes, and we are the sisters.
We are the sisters.
That is us, baby.
Welcome back to season 5. We are so happy to be here. We're so excited for this new season. We're just, we're excited for where God is going to take us. Yes, we're ready. We preach now
and forever.
Preaching. Yes. Make sure you're following us on all our social media. That's SDWTS podcast everywhere.
On
everywhere
Twitter,
you find
Instagram,
socials,
Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
everywhere. And make sure you're just following the journey, because this year is going to be our year. We've accepted it. So you have
and we've
to
claimed it and we're believing it.
Hallelujah. But let's jump right in, because this topic is powerful.
It
and
is.
One thing we want to let you know on this podcast is that we as women take accountability for our actions, and because we take accountability for our actions, today we are going to discuss the topic
She's nodding.
Because I'm everything she's saying.
We're going to talk about how much responsibility do women take for the failure of their relationships. And we can talk about this from both the romantic lens and the platonic lens, because those both have significance, but obviously mostly romantic relationships.
Yeah.
So I guess my first question, girls, would be, in your prior relationships, or scenarios that you've engaged in or been a part of, would you say the ending of said relationship had anything to do with you?
It's talking about just the most previous, just Okay. Actually, you want to go first?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Would you say, as a woman, in any of your prior relationships, so not any, so nobody knows who we are talking about, would you say that your relationships had, the ending of them had anything to do with you?
Could you use it in a sentence, please?
I'm actually
done. I'll start.
No,
first.
but okay, no.
I'm joking.
I feel like I feel like that's different from the original question, though, because the original question was the duration of the relationship, throughout the relationship, the ending of the relationship. That's different. But the duration.
Listen to the question she actually said. No, but you said did it end because did you play a part in the way it ended? Is what you asked.
Oh, I more mean. Oh, okay, yeah. But I'm asking the initial question.
Oh, yeah. Answer that one. Did the way the relationship ended? Did you play a part
in the way it ended? So, like, were you the reason it broke down?
Because that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I would honestly no.
Okay, I'm trying to think.
I can say no.
The reason it broke down?
Honestly, no.
Me
the
too.
relationship breaking down.
Me too. Actually, yes, I have been. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm not only talking relationships, situationships, like anything.
Oh, okay, then yes.
Okay, cool.
Because you also said platonic friendships.
Oh, I'm platonic. Yes. Platonic, maybe not though.
Platonic friendships.
Actually, maybe.
Do you know what? I feel like we're asking different questions.
Let's do romantic.
Let's do romantic first, then we can go to.
If we have time for platonic, we'll go there.
For me, romantic relationship absolutely play a part. Platonic, I have to think about it because I don't think so, but I don't want to just jump to conclusion because I might, but I don't think so.
I have a follow-up question then. Okay. You guys saying yes when it comes to the demise of the relationship.
Demise.
No, let me not say okay. No, I'm still confused on the question. Because
you're talking about were we problematic during the duration of the relationship?
Yes.
Yeah, that also
that's a key word.
Is that part in the? Oh, okay, then yes.
No, okay, guys, let's be careful when you say using the word problematic, because at the end of the day, if you play a part as to why a relationship has ended, it's not necessarily problematic.
Not always, but I was problematic.
But we're talking about the problematic. Let's focus on the
No,
problematic.
but it is problematic.
It can be, because I think
we're saying it can be, but not all the time.
Not always. Yeah, no.
Not all the time.
It has to end. You have to choose yourself.
What you're saying is very true, because we need to obviously say a relationship breaking down is not always a negative thing.
Of course.
So that is
sometimes you have to
obviously
leave toxic relationships. You have to pick yourself.
And I'm saying sometimes it's not even toxic. Like sometimes you just don't go together, and that's okay. And it's not negative. It's not toxic. But then it's not problematic.
You're right. But a lot of the time, if you're not for someone, it ends up leading on that path anyway. Because it ends up going down that road anyway with little things happening here and there. Things just not going right. Do you know what I mean? Okay, not necessarily toxic, but you know.
Yeah, I would even say that's not problematic, because sometimes your communication styles are different, and that's not problematic.
That's what I'm trying to say. So now let's focus.
Okay.
Let's let them know we're talking about the problematic side of things now. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So let me own up small. Okay. For mine,
that was gonna be my question.
Story time.
What would you say that you've done that you're willing to share?
I'm willing to. You know me. I'm an open book.
Actually, repeat the question properly. Start again. Because this is gonna be good for a trailer.
Yes.
Okay. So the question is, guys, are you listening? Tell me
loud and clear.
Okay, what would you say you've done that you're willing to share on the podcast right now to the audience, to our dear audience, that has contributed or that did contribute to the demise of your previous relationships? So any attributes, characteristics,
anything during the
duration of the relationship, not just at the very end, because we know the very end can be, not all relationships end bad, but the very end can be very dirty,
right?
Very bad.
Yeah.
So duration of the relationship.
Okay.
Is there anything?
Let me speak on something.
Okay.
So one thing that I've done, right, is not managing people's expectations properly. So I entered a situationship and I knew that I was not ready for said situationship to turn into a relationship. This person was very intentional and wanted to be intentional. But I,
on the other hand,
was just not playing games with them, but as in like I was just
taking
it day by day because I was in a very limbo.
You're going with the flow.
I was in a limbo situation. So instead of being very communicative about where I really was, I was quite vague, which led to the demise of said situationship.
And would you say then that you potentially led them on?
Yes. And the reason I say that's problematic is because even if that is not your intention, when you know somebody is developing feelings for you, and you might have, not even if you've developed feelings for them, but like you can tell that there's a vibe and you can see where they're going with and this was very respectful, intentional, whatever. There is a responsibility and an onus on you. If you're not interested in that person or you don't think that at that time that relationship is going to go anywhere, there is a responsibility on you to communicate that. And I didn't do that well until I did it in a very poor way, which led to that person being very disappointed and very upset. And I'm very deeply apologetic for that situation.
If you're watching,
honestly, because it's not nice. So that's the one I've experienced.
I would honestly, my one flows onto you. Communication. Right. I was a poor communicator. I can say it. I was very, very poor.
Tell the people.
I passed English in school, but in real life, I didn't pass it.
Wow. She wasn't the top of the class.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah. I was at the bottom.
Yeah.
I was last. Even though I never finished last, I was last. Because it's in my case, in my situation, I didn't express how I felt. Right. I didn't express what was on my mind. I didn't say how I truly felt. And so that then created a space whereby I almost expected the other person to read my mind. If I'm upset, you should know I'm upset. Why are you not doing anything about it? But I haven't expressed that, okay, I'm upset. This is why I'm upset. How do we solve this and how do we move forward?
Right.
But instead, it's almost like it's all in my head. And how is he supposed to know what's in here? When some of the time, I don't even know what's in here.
Correct. In fact, sometimes there's a million things in there. So
that's what I'm saying. And I'm expecting him to go off of body language alone.
Silence sometimes. Silence treatment.
That's it.
Sometimes.
And that definitely contributed to the demise of the relationship.
Of said relationship.
I love the honesty from us. Go on.
Tell me.
I don't know how I'm going to top that up, but personally, I think I'm perfect in a relationship.
Right.
Not people giggling in the background.
It's the way she owned up to it when we first asked the initial question, and now she's doing
scaredy cat.
I think I'm joking. Do you know what? Whilst you guys were talking, my mind was racing. I was trying to think of how I've, contributed to the failure.
Wow, failure. We've gone from demise to failure.
Okay, to the demise of the
failure.
relationship. I think... Guys, sorry, I don't mean to hold you up.
It's fine. Do you know what?
Take your time, baby.
Because I do want to be very transparent.
I want to say one thing while you're thinking, One thing that I've realised is if you speak to a lot of women in general, not just Temi in this, not Temi, by the way, I'm just saying women in general, a lot of the time if you were to ask them, what did you do in your relationship that you don't think was helpful or, for the advancement of your relationship, they wouldn't be able to say, because a lot of women for the most part are the better person in the relationship. I'm not going to lie to you, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be self-reflective.
Well, that doesn't mean that they don't make any mistakes, so there's no wrongdoings.
And this is not to say that there are not men that are good in relationships. So I'm saying for the majority of the time, women tend to be the more together one in the relationship. So I think it is quite normal for women not to know what they were doing wrong. They just assume that it was more the guy. So that's why
I knew what I wanted out of it. He didn't know. Sort of thing,
yeah.
And that's not to say that it's right. Because I feel like just because you know what you want doesn't mean that you don't do things wrong in a relationship.
Right.
You know?
Right. You can know what you want. Or mate, I've known what I wanted and stayed in situationships that were not serving me. And not serving me in a selfish way, but not serving me in a way that they're not aligning with the boundaries and for the standards that I want for myself.
This is not what I see for myself, so why am I here?
Yeah. So.
And sometimes what you want, let's be honest, a lot of women don't admit this, but what you want in a relationship can change whilst you're doing it.
Correct.
Yeah,
so then your
that
action
too.
starts to sway towards that side, you know?
Correct.
And a lot of women, what they want and what they're doing is not matching up.
Don't shoot
Anyway.
me.
No, I'm saying.
Thank you.
I'm saying because I've been there.
Yeah, been
you
there.
say you
Been
want
there.
this type of man, but the guy that you're with,
It's not adding.
it's
1 plus 1
is not two.
That could even be problematic too.
It's giving 34.
Poor decision making. So you want a certain type of relationship, yet you continue to pick the bottom of the barrel. That in itself is
You
problematic.
continue to entertain toxic.
Because you know what's unfortunate? In that situation, you'll come out of that relationship feeling like the man is the problem, but you were really the problem because you knew he was not for you. You knew he didn't even
Because
match
he was
up to your
probably just being
standards. He was just living
The
his
red
life.
flags were there from the very beginning, but you turned it into amber.
And do you know what?
They were red, but you changed it. Some of you changed it to yellow.
And you know, sometimes it's important to know, it's not even a red flag in a sense where the man is just casually being himself.
100%.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong
that's
with what
a
that
really
guy is,
great
but it's
point.
just not what you
It's
want
just not
to
what
do.
you
Still
want, yeah.
there.
He hasn't lied to you.
For
It's not for
example,
you.
You want a man with 6 figures. He has a normal everyday job, living his life, just trying to make ends meet, you know. But for you, because that's not what you want, that's a red flag. Do you know? He's just being himself.
Just being himself, and then you send him into depression because you said, "Let me be in a relationship
Just
with
an
him
example.
anyway."
But I thought about one, and it's so funny that it took me so long to, remember because I spoke.
Because you
about
wanted
it
to give a
out
proper
there.
answer.
Yes,
And we
I did.
respect
Not because
that.
you couldn't think of anything before some
I'm
people.
I'm not perfect, I have my
She's
mistakes
joking.
as well. I'm not perfect. Whoa.
Nobody is.
But yeah, when we were out there, this is one of many guys. But every time I would usually would be involved in some sort of disagreement, or we have just I don't want to call it an argument, but let's say we're not on the same page on the topic or just a certain thing. I'm very quick to sort of want to escape.
Pack my bags.
I do want to leave.
Yeah.
But
I've been there
really and
too.
truly, when I'm calm, definitely I know I don't mean it. But in that moment of wanting to leave, I can make a man feel uncomfortable.
Right.
I can make a man feel uncomfortable. And I've been told this as well. And I am working on it, don't get it twisted. I'm still not the best at it, but I can make a man feel uncomfortable. I can make him feel unwanted by myself. But I am obviously reflecting on it because I feel like a lot of women, we actually do that. Like in an argument, or if we're having a disagreement, I would genuinely not necessarily shut down because in that moment I'm giving we're doing our back and forth. But in my head, psychologically, I'm like, I don't want this.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Like, God, not this one.
Hey. You're even thinking, who's the next one?
Yeah.
And do you know why? I think that comes from overthinking because my mind just tells me like, if this is a man you want to build with, you don't need this, but at the same time, it's like, at the end of the day, you can't have it all. There's certain things you have to work on, and I am working on that, to understand that, nobody's, even I'm not perfect. I'm probably not his 10 out of 10 either.
No, you're a 10 out of 10. But
Don't let them tell you different. It's like you said earlier.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? That, like, ticking all the boxes. That's what
It's like you said earlier, like a lot of people, they overlook the fact that in relationships, as much as you're a unit, you're also individuals.
Right.
So you're both going through growing pains.
Right.
And that's not always going to look pretty. That's not to say it should be the ugliest of uglies and he should be doing whatever.
Right.
No.
You should be accepting it. No.
But you have to remember that you're both growing.
Exactly.
So you have to allow space for them to grow.
100%.
Absolutely. Like, you see what you said there, Ashley? Like, I always well, previously I've always wanted the guys I've been with to have been grown already. Like I always frowned on growing with them because it's just like, why should I teach you certain things? You should know it, this, that.
You should know it off the jump.
Patience is such a virtue. Like, it's so good to have that and it's so beautiful to see as well, like growing into your relationship, like looking back and then seeing the growth from where you've come from. Yeah. But yeah, I've realized that now. But before, I was so quick to want out.
And it's crazy, the whole time we two are growing, but we're saying, why are you growing?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
Honestly, being self-observant and self-aware is so
and you know, we've been preaching that from season 1. But
from the jump.
It's crazy. You said so many good things there, and I had so many things I wanted to add to it, and I can't remember now. But
it'll probably come back.
It'll come back to you.
But yeah, no, it's guys, it's not a joke. As women, I feel like we should definitely.
I think I remember. Definitely. I think the packing bags thing, is so relatable to me because for me, it's like, listen,
like I physically want to catch my bum.
I can't be sad for my whole life. That's how I'll be telling myself. It's one argument. I can't be sad like this my whole life.
And it's crazy,
I need to go. But what is crazy is there's a difference between acknowledging that something isn't working in a relationship and allowing the people to grow. And this has become a repeated offense. And you know you shouldn't be there again, but you're there. It's been 4 years, 4 hot years. You're still there. That's different because then you also don't. For me, what I realized in myself is that if I value myself and I value that other person, there has to be a time when we come to a mutual agreement that this isn't working.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? If you're always going back to have that same argument and nobody is growing past that point,
nobody's changing.
You might be
There's
growing
no resolve.
in other ways, but you're not growing past that point.
Yeah. What I was saying is basically when it gets to obviously the extreme end where you feel like things has to end. Obviously, the aspect I'm talking about is probably not necessarily a minor situation.
Day-to-day growing.
But it's just day-to-day growing, day-to-day, you know, maturing and things like that. I'm like, literally, I would be like, no.
Yeah. Even that, I agree.
No.
I'm not even talking about extremes. So say, for instance,
the reason why I said extreme was because you were talking about sometimes you have to realise it's actually a point where you have to go. That one, fair enough, of course. But that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
That I'm basically talking about.
I think that's another thing for me then is out in previous I wasn't realistic.
Me either.
I was not realistic. I think it's very easy as a woman to
be idealistic,
to be distracted as well.
It's you when you see a certain
distracted
when you see a certain guy and he's showing you who he is,
and you're just
but
there.
in your mind you're seeing
else.
potential. You've made him something else. You've created him into a completely different person, and now you're upset when he's not meeting the standards of that person you've created. When he's showing you who he is. Error.
It is an error.
It's error.
It's an error because you don't even trust your own judgment again. You're just walking. And
that's not even his fault. Because some of you might be thinking, oh, you're putting it on the man. No, it's me. Because the guy has there can be, like you said earlier, there can be nothing wrong with him. Like, he can be a good guy, but you know that your morals and your beliefs, they're not lining up. They're not aligned. They're not in alignment with each other. But then you're angry and I'm getting upset, and that's even making the relationship difficult because every time I'm showing up, I'm already annoyed.
Yes.
Before we're even speaking,
just holding things in,
when he hasn't done anything he's
like
just been himself.
Can I give you an example of that? In a relationship I was in, the guy was very clear with me that he's not even in the headspace to be in a relationship right now. And I'm here saying, I'm hearing it, but I'm not actually hearing it. I've heard you, but have I heard you? So I'm here still expecting relationship things from them. But you've already told me. You've told me that is not where your head is at. In fact, you're not even thinking there. You just need, right now you're even focused on other things. I said, right. But yet, when I should have said bye, I'm still expecting relationship things. If you're triggered
right now, press that like button.
Real.
Leave a comment down below.
And another example of what you're saying is a lot of babes will say, like babes like us, whatever, they'll say, oh, I want a man that's a Christian, right? And then, so a man that's not a Christian has approached you, and because he's handsome and this, but he has his own moral code, and a lot of us are driven by our moral code based on if we're religious or not, right? So for instance, he's come to you and he's let you know he's not an active Christian. Maybe he's not even a Christian at all.
He's a Buddhist, Stephen.
Muslim.
Because Muslim, fair enough, he's a Buddhist.
He's a Buddhist. Yes. And you have said in your mind, I'll still be in a relationship.
And
then things
but he's a good person though.
Things will then come up.
He does that which the other one didn't do.
You see what I'm saying?
Even the Christian didn't do what
You'll find ways to patch it up.
You know?
And then things will come up later on down the line that, say for instance, you don't want to have sex before marriage. But to him, it doesn't matter because
that's not his
in his own belief system,
morals.
There's no reason why he shouldn't. But then you'll be there fighting with him saying, but you know who I am, but you also know who he is. And yet, you are trying to change somebody that did not come into nobody comes into a relationship wanting to build a bear. Let this girl just fix me, change me, my haircut, this one.
I'm not gonna lie, some people do, some guys
but I'm saying,
the
man that knows himself, he's not here
but
now.
in this sense,
and it's on you as a person to actually stand by your convictions. If that's what you really want, go for guys that are doing that and accept guys that are doing that, because I've noticed with a lot of girls, they say they want something, but they don't really want it.
This is what we were saying.
They want a guy to want off their pants.
This is what we were saying when the podcast started, when we were talking about red flags. That girl you just gave an example about, when she goes to her girlfriends now, she's talking about the situation, say it's ended. She's going to be listing all the things. Oh, he didn't want to wait till marriage. He didn't want to do this. That's a red flag. And you know, us girls as well, we'll be encouraging our girls. Yeah,
you preach.
I get it. Do you get it?
Idiots.
More times, we need to look within and see what did we do wrong after we realised what was going on. What made us stay?
Yes.
Why
were we
stay?
there?
Because really and truly, my brother is just a Buddhist.
He's a Buddhist. In fact, he's agnostic.
He hasn't done anything wrong. It's what he believes.
No, you listen all days.
System. Don't get it twisted. Of course, we understand compromise in relationships. We're not disputing
that's
that.
Different.
Yeah, that's a whole different conversation.
That's different.
We're talking about women taking responsibility.
When it's a compromise is when it's mutual.
Of the topic.
I think that's something you need to make it. A compromise is when it's mutual.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of the times,
a man will come to you and he's very secure in who he is and he knows what he wants, and yet you think he'll fall in love with me to the point that he's going to become what I want him to be.
That's not compromise. That's manipulation. Let's call it what it is.
Can we speak on women manipulating men? Sorry.
It's manipulation.
I'm so sorry. I'm very sorry because there are women.
It's manipulation. Let's call it what it is.
Master manipulators.
It's not I changed my mind. Oops. Manipulation. You're a manipulator. And it's dangerous because we've all been there. Whether you do it intentionally or not doesn't mean that you're not manipulating.
Because we're all here ready to call men gaslighters and manipulators. Sometimes, I'm sorry, women, you're doing it. When a man is expressing his emotion to you, you're telling you, why would that affect you though? You're a man. Why are you upset about
you're supposed to be the head, like you're the leader. Why are you upset? Blah, blah, blah. How does that make sense?
All I'm going to say is we thank God for growth.
Narcos reels. There's so many.
Tell me that she had flashbacks.
No, because there's. I'm talking about it. We're coming to your doorstep. Yeah. There's a lot of babes out there. You want a man that's emotionally intelligent. You want a man that's emotionally available.
That's
when
it.
he expresses his feelings for you. Yeah. When he comes and expresses that something,
you see him as wet.
Has upset him. You're calling him moist in your group chat.
You're calling him a wet wipe.
You're going on Twitter and you're indirecting him. You're saying, men shouldn't have feelings, men shouldn't cry.
No, that's not cute.
Do you know how
men shouldn't cry?
And we banter, but like that is manipulative.
Yeah, it is.
You're telling them that you want that out of them, and yet when they express it to you, you give them. You don't receive it well.
Yeah. And you know what that does to a person long term? The same way we talk about how, as a woman being cheated on, we carry that into our next relationship, trust issues, it develops all of these things. Let's talk about how emotionally damaging a man from opening up, how that damages him later on down the line. When he actually has a good woman, he knows this woman is good, he knows this woman wants to listen, he knows this woman wants to cares, but he just can't. He can't open up.
Sad.
Let's talk about that as well. There are a lot of men out there. I'm sorry, there are a lot of men in these streets.
Why is actually laughing at it?
I'm sorry, the way this is so sad.
No, it's real. Sad. It's very sad. There are a lot of men out there, and you guys, we all know this. You see them, they're hurt, and that's why they act the way they do. They do the toxic.
I'm sorry,
not to justify it.
We're not justifying it.
We're not encouraging that.
But we're also, we have to acknowledge roots. Yeah. So a lot
the same
of men,
way we acknowledge roots when it comes to him, when it comes to a man,
we have to acknowledge it. Thank you. So a lot of men, unfortunately, they've been in relationships where women have been horrible to them, and so obviously now when they go forward, they are horrible to women in relationships because unfortunately women never took accountability for how toxic they were being in their relationships, and it happens a lot.
It does.
It happens. Like, I've literally seen babes say, why is your man doing this? Why is your man doing that? And then men will then think, they shouldn't do that in their next relationship. But that is something that is a bare necessity that they should do in their relationship. It will be simple things like, I don't know, things that some people will think are soft or like simpy. It's turned into, a real man doesn't do that.
Even a man being romantic.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking for example. That's an example.
Guys, would you say, obviously, just taking it back slightly, I want to know what you guys think about the whole women being manipulative. Do you think you've been manipulative in relationships? Like, looking back,
have we been manipulative?
Yeah, because I know you've probably, to be fair, we might have done it consciously, but let's also add the unconscious side to it as well. Do you think you've been unconsciously manipulated?
Yes.
Yeah, unintentionally, 100%.
Yeah, and I can say the example is the whole, because I know I'm unconsciously in the back of our minds.
Do you want to share examples?
I don't mind if I think of one.
I think this one maybe where you guys can relate is, you know, that as a woman, we're seen as more emotional. So it's almost like we're always going to have the upper hand. So in that sense, with being manipulative, where unconsciously, if, say, for example, an argument has happened, I'm always expecting the other person, you should always apologise first. You should be the one to rectify it. Right. You should be the one to say something first. And I feel like there's times when I've done that intentionally, like, I'm not saying anything. That could be pride, but I do think it is manipulative because I feel like I should always have the upper hand regardless. I ain't like that no more because I know that's very dangerous.
And we've spoken about being the bigger person, so you should be the bigger person. Even
Go watch that episode.
You can acknowledge where you went wrong as well.
That's so true, Ashley, because I can relate to that, definitely.
I feel like that is manipulative.
It is manipulative. I can see where you're coming from. Mine would be, say for instance, you've expressed something that's upset you, and then they've heard you the first time, but then, and they've said sorry even, yet you find another way to disguise it and you say it in a different way 5 minutes later. Then you say it again. You're not over it. But they've actually apologized. They've said, but it's in the same conversation.
Very sincere as well.
Sincere. They've been sincere in their apology, and they've heard you. They might not have done it in the way that you feel validate. And I think for a lot of women, emotionally, like, we want to hear a certain thing, like we want you to apologize in a certain way, and unfortunately men are not mind readers, innit? So when they've said sorry, like, accept their sorry. And I think for me sometimes you haven't said sorry in the way I want you to say sorry. I need you to understand the sorry that you're saying. So I might reiterate it this like 10 times in one conversation, and that's horrible, I personally think, from me. Like, I think it is manipulative because they've already said sorry. Like, they've made it known that they are sorry for what they've done, and they're going to try and work on what they've done, but you keep saying it. So it's like, are you undermining their intelligence,
or are you just not satisfied with the apology?
Which is understandable, but I also think it's not nice because, say for instance, you're done. How the person explained it to me was like, they've heard me, and me repeating it is like making it seem like they're not smart, because I'm essentially saying you don't get what I'm saying. Okay. Like, I think there's a difference between, because one thing I've learned and I've translated it into to be more healthy is like, when I've expressed what's upset me, I'll then say, what did you hear from what I said? So that I know if you've heard it the right way, or if I've explained it properly,
or there's misunderstanding.
Versus just saying the same thing in a different way 5 times, even though you said sorry, if that makes sense. Because it's unfortunate, like, they've said sorry, so then now you're almost like you're making them feel worse, like you're making them and holding it over their head, making them feel worse for an extended period of time.
Because I thought you was gonna say, even I think it's even, I don't want to say like it's not that manipulative, because there's some women now, it's not even in that same conversation. Afterwards,
the one that's afterwards is even worse. I'm sorry.
Ongoing,
and it comes out in different ways. It's like a shade in different sentences. You've
even
wording.
said that you've accepted their apology, but any opportunity that you get, even if there's a new argument surfaces, you bring up, oh yeah, that's why, I didn't believe when you said sorry when you blah 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 that time. That can be manipulative.
Definitely.
Because it's almost like, okay, well, I apologise and we spoke about it. I thought we moved on from it. So you're telling me all this time, in that moment, you've been holding it in your heart.
As if it's okay as well. It's not like you've expressed, I'm not happy with it. Right. But you've made it like it's fine.
Exactly.
He's moved on. He's thought you've moved on. And then another argument comes.
So when it comes up, it's like,
the way it comes back is so violent as well, where he's like, whoa.
So all this time, I thought we've made progress, and really and truly, you're still there.
Holding on. That happens in friendships too.
Yeah. See, this one is even one I can relate to too, where it's manipulative, honestly, to hold grudges. And to then, it is manipulative only because you then start treating that person from a place of resentment, which can never, ever make a relationship healthy.
This is so easy.
Like,
this
it's very easy.
It's very easily done. Like we're not even talking from a place of it happens. I can never hold a grudge. You know, once I feel a certain type of way, like I make sure that feeling's gone. It's not like that. It's not an overnight thing. No. It's very easy for a grudge to build in your heart,
and it's a proactive thing to stop it from going. Because what's manipulative about holding a grudge is you only treat that person from that place. So even the year later, that person is still a cheater in your eye if you've accepted them.
Wow.
Obviously, if they're a cheater, let me use a different example.
I was literally thinking,
say if they've lied.
Lying is also wrong. Sorry. But
I feel like that's a good example because there might be someone in that situation where, say, if they've lied once and they just made in that moment, in the heat of the moment, they just made a silly error.
I get what you're saying. They didn't make a manipulative lie, but like a lie.
No.
Because you know lying.
No, they didn't make a good choice.
Yeah. Okay, poor decision making. Right. So they've made a poor decision once, right? This is a year later now. You guys have squashed it, and then all of a sudden, he hasn't even done anything wrong per se, but maybe you were triggered by something you saw, and then all of a sudden, all this rage comes out of you because from that day he did it till that next year, you've still, every time you look at him, you're like, but he did that to me.
But he's a liar.
He's that.
My whole thing is, how are you still in that situation?
I think a lot of people are in situations like that. It's very easy because on the good days it will slip your mind, but it's on the bad days. It'll be a day he maybe doesn't pick up your call the first time. You'll be like, and you see that if it's still a grudge.
That's what people
or
be
not.
saying when they're in relationships, and that's when they be saying things like, "Oh, we've been through we've been through hell and back." That's the hell.
It happens the same way it happens in friendship. Like when someone does something to you, and you know, like you don't forget it. Like it's in the back of your mind. It's very easy for that to turn into a grudge and then act out of resentment. The same way it happens in friendships, it can happen in relationships. Don't think because you love that person, you're in love with them, that you're not going to see or hold on to that error. It happens, and it's very subtle. You might not even mean to do it, but you'll notice it in yourself. Say for instance, you just have this, you know, some people are in relationships and they have bitterness towards their partner.
Wow.
Like you love them, but like you can tell that you're a bit bitter.
Can I say something as well? Obviously, based off this conversation that we're having, I've just remembered something else, and I'm also talking to myself when I say this, but just because, let's say for example, women that do take accountability for their actions in relationships, just because you've apologized doesn't then necessarily mean it's something you can then do again. Like an apology doesn't completely then get rid of things. I've been that person where
talk on it.
I would tell the guy I'm with or something that I've apologized though, but I've said sorry. So what are you still holding on to? Why are you still affected? What is the problem?
But when it's the other way around,
you move on. Why can't you move on? We've spoken about it. I'm ready to move on. Who am I to say I'm ready to move on when it was my fault? I was the reason why you can't even move on in the first place. And I'm telling you, I'm ready to move on. You know, and you know what's so funny?
Really
That's I don't know if I'm digging deeper into this, but I don't know, and I don't know if a lot of women relate to this. I've always wanted to ask you girls, but it's always skipped my mind. I think the way I view men kind of comes from not necessarily my mum, but just, you know, women, like older women
that have said things,
that you've been around and giving us advice of why men are a certain way, this and that. Don't get it twisted. My mum is for, like, she believes like men have feelings, like you should always consider a man's feelings and things like that. But there's certain things, like let's say my aunties or just other people in general might have said about men that, you know, it's so mad.
I know what you're saying.
It's so mad that I'm saying this now because I literally just realised it I'll say about, it sounds crazy, about 2 years ago, guys. I've only just realized that there are men out there actually have genuine feelings. Like, it sounds so crazy because it sounds so mad what I'm saying, but it makes sense in my head.
2 years ago,
I genuinely used to think all through secondary school, even somehow in uni, okay, maybe not just 2 years ago, but a few years back, somehow in uni, I used to genuinely think, up until uni, I used to think like men did not really have feelings for me to hurt. As a man, I cannot.
So many people are going to.
As a man, I cannot hurt your feelings because you probably don't even have them.
Wow.
So that's why I was so big on that whole, okay, get over it. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, why? What's wrong with you? Stop it. So when someone actually opened my eyes, and it was a guy that opened my eyes to make me realize that men have genuine feelings towards women. They can get hurt as much as us, even worse than us. I think that changed my perspective on a lot of things.
Wow.
You know, I started to realize certain things, and I started to genuinely take it in and just, first of all, ask God forgiveness, because Lord knows.
Bye.
But you know what I mean? I started to take it in, like, wow, like, consider their feelings more, and, you know, things like that. Because as women, I see us women as, like, we're so gentle, like, we're the ones with the feelings, and men are the ones without the feelings. Just that stereotype that men have no feelings, they break our hearts kind of thing. Women, we need to stick together, and we can't give men the time of day because they're going to hurt us. Do you know what I'm saying?
Do you know what
is it making a bit of sense? What I'm saying?
So
a lot of sense.
So much.
Okay,
like,
cool.
Because I know there's even some women who still think like that.
That's it. That's literally. Do you know how sad it would be to be in a world where men didn't have
judging
feelings?
a man
Why would you
just from the first, like, literally by seeing him, you're probably a player, aren't you?
Exactly.
Like, you're probably breaking
and it's
hearts, aren't
unfortunate
you?
because I think a lot of men then go on to be cold and have no emotion because
it's a self-fulfilling
prophecy where you're telling them, oh, but why are you so pressed about something? No, because they're a human being.
Right. How else are they supposed to be?
People have this analogy where it's
they
like,
are human beings.
Women are more emotional than men, and I think that's the biggest bunch of cap. I just think that women express it differently.
Express it more.
Because I've spoken to men, and
Fact.
there's been times men have confided in me about something, and it's just like how the way it's affected them is the same way it's something can affect me, but the way they might explain it, and the way,
and you're
the way
even
their
there
actions
astounded.
show it, the way their body would react to it, you would dare be like, whoa, okay.
This is it. Or obviously not to blame men, because at the end of the day, everyone deals with what they deal with differently. Do you know what I mean? But because men were never expressive with their hurt, I would take it as you don't care, you don't feel anything, you don't feel anything. And a lot of so therefore, when I'm hurt, I'm gonna take it on you because you don't even care. Like, get over it, kind of thing.
What women fail to realize is that a lot of men, until they get into a relationship with a woman that gives them a safe space, a lot of men have never had a safe space to express themselves.
That part,
100%. Yeah, they
keyword safe.
You know, safety. Safe. Not some a babe that's now gonna go and talk about her man and how he cried to her on Twitter. We're not talking about that. You are not a safe space, sis. Okay?
And guys, another thing as well, what that made me realize after obviously coming to that realization, it made me softer with men. Because I'll be honest.
Amazing.
I think I'm having like a little therapy right now, because literally thinking back, I wasn't soft with men. I'm not gonna lie. I probably was, because it's my natural nature to be a soft person. So that aside,
but like to the deepest core.
I was not soft with men. I was always on guard, even though you can still see traces of it now.
You had your wall up.
Do you know what I mean? Even though, like I said, even though you can still kind of see it, my wall is kind of up sometimes based on those previous experiences and the thoughts that I've had about men. But it's not as obviously as bad, because now I know that men are emotional. They have feelings, so treat them accordingly.
100%.
You know?
So my final question, would be, so you know what you've just said, I'm really glad that both of you said that, because
it's powerful. That part was so powerful.
Listen, so what you've just said in regards to the fact that, you know, you felt like you went through a period or a long time where you didn't realize that men had emotions. So obviously that ties into the fact that, okay, that contributed to the demise of the relationship. I would then ask, with the things that you're aware of, what you've contributed, have you ever apologized?
Oh, I'm heavily apologetic. If you know me, even with them, if I think I've upset them, even if I haven't upset them, you know me, I'm very apologetic. But that's because I'm an empath. So
is it there and then, or is it afterwards?
Oh, there and then.
Okay.
The thing about me, which is I can't relate to not thinking men are emotional, because I've been an empath from literally the day I was born. So like, I've always been able to, because I've had a lot of emotional pain and scarring, I can understand that somebody can look to you like they have no feeling, but deep down they are in pain. Like regardless of what, I've never attributed emotions to just women, because I've been around sensitive men. And I don't like sensitive men because that will sound weird to some people. I've just been around men that are in touch with their feelings. I've understood that, yes.
It's always been the case.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I know how much an apology means to somebody. Right. And I also hate when I upset somebody. So for me, apologizing is something that is just
second nature.
I have to.
You have to. You feel it. What about you, Temi?
I feel like I like literally going back to Wiffedy. Going back to what I said previously, yeah, I do apologise. Absolutely. Do I mean it is a different thing. Right. The way I say it is a different thing. Honestly. Because it's listen, it doesn't cost anything to open your mouth and say sorry. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And honestly, it's been an issue for me. Like, I've been told that as well, you know, and it's affected me in a way where I've had to sit down and literally like think about everything and become more self-aware of it. So it's literally, like I said, it's just the presentation of it. Like, okay, sorry. And after the sorry, I'm expect
not you do your face like
okay, sorry.
I said sorry.
Sorry. What are you doing? Why are you still mad? I've said sorry. So I can apologise. Yes, I have apologised in the past. The way
the sincerity
is very questionable because sometimes, of course, I mean it. But obviously, the older I get now, of course, I'm more sincere with the way I apologise.
Of course, yeah.
And yeah, there's always a purpose. You know, I always do it with intention. But before, so that definitely contributed to the failure of
this is very real.
Listen, yeah.
What about you, Ash?
I would say the same. Yeah, I do apologise because even if in that moment, like say when a relationship ends and then you look back and then you realise, okay, yeah, there's X, Y, and Z that I didn't do. Even if like we haven't spoken in a while, I'm the type of person where I'll go out of my way to message. Listen, I don't. When it comes to that, there's no pride.
Sorry.
And some people might see that and be like, "Oh, I could never do
weird.
that." That's fine, no problem. But when something's on my heart, I can't just go about my life knowing that I know there's someone I need to apologise to.
They're loud.
Listen,
I'm going about my day.
Bye.
It's honesty.
We're being transparent.
No. So when I know there's something that I need to apologise for, I'll send a message.
In fact, I'll go for a tantrum in my room and then act like nothing happened.
Right. Okay.
Honestly, I'm being real.
Got you.
For me, literally, I can even be scrolling on Twitter, Instagram sometimes, and I'll see somebody that I remember I was not nice to them before when I was younger, and even if I've apologized to them before, it will come back to me because that's just how I am. Just because I know how it feels like to be upset. So I don't know. I think it's the empath thing I said before. Like I feel people's feelings, innit? So if I know that really I did something, even if they didn't ever express to me that they were upset, but I just have now gotten older and with emotional intelligence, I was like, wow, that was not good.
That was not cute.
Like that's for me. I just have to. But
yeah, I think that's what I want to do more of this year as well, to be more aware when it comes to how I'm treating people. So I don't think. Obviously, I never go out of my way to treat people badly.
Yeah, never.
But never, of course.
That's a key point.
I never ever go out of my way to do that. But sometimes you don't even know when you've wronged someone.
Literally.
So I just always want. It's never a thing of this person doesn't deserve an apology. Oh, but I wasn't aware, so I don't need to apologize. Right. No, you're not above an apology. No one's above an apology.
And I need to also say this for everybody listening, like. Just because you might not understand why somebody's upset at something doesn't mean you shouldn't apologize.
That is what, and that is what I'm learning.
I know for some people that is a very foreign. It's a very foreign concept for a lot of people. Because for me, I've literally heard people, but I don't see what I did wrong, and I'm like, okay, it's not about you. When somebody comes and tells you that something has offended them, whether you understand why, whether you think it's reasonable, you have to validate people in their emotions.
Is it okay to then say, "I'm sorry you feel that way"?
No. And I understand that
it's true.
That's a good question, because I'm sorry if you feel that way. That's not an apology.
Because do you know why? Because if you think about the way it's being said, the actual wording, it's like, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I don't.
You're not sorry for what you did.
Sometimes some people don't even say the but. They say sorry you feel that way. It's almost like saying, oh, but why are those your emotions?
Because when you're saying sorry you feel that way, you're essentially saying to that person, sorry you feel like that. Like, sorry you feel like that, but I didn't.
But there's nothing I can do. Yeah, it is what it is.
You might not see what you did. Even for 5 years, you might not even understand what you did.
But because they're
upset, you should care enough as a human that you've upset somebody and say, I am sorry.
As a human.
But
someone that you even care about to that extent, if you care about someone,
if you love someone,
if they've expressed hurt to you and you're the reason for that hurt, the least you can do is apologize for what you've done.
100%. Exactly. And another tip I would say in relationships is always validate the other person's emotions.
Yeah.
So say for instance they've come to you and said something, and in that moment you maybe even if you do understand, validate it. Be like, wow, like I really I hear you and I see you. Like I don't know how to explain it. When you validate, you let them know that they're okay it's okay for them to, like, not that saying that, it's not to say that everything that people feel is okay. It's just to say that in that moment, we're obviously talking about like a relationship here. If somebody comes and expresses to you that something upset them, validate them in their emotion. Let them know that it's okay for them to have even expressed it to you.
It builds foundation.
Exactly. And one thing I do as well, just to follow off that point, is if someone comes to you, even if in the moment you don't understand, a simple, do you know what? Thank you for bringing this to me, because I know it must not have been easy for you to do so. Because not everyone is. I'm not a confrontational person. It's really, really hard for me if someone has upset me to tell them this is what you've done and I didn't like that, because that's very, very vulnerable for me. Actually. So if I was on the receiving end for someone to tell me, do you know what? Thank you. I'm glad. I'm so happy that you were comfortable enough to come and bring this to me.
Because it's not the easiest of things
exactly.
for me to do myself.
So I don't want this to build any resentment. I want us to move forward.
Yeah.
I want there to always be love between us. That's the starting point.
Yeah.
And I would honestly encourage everyone to do that.
That creates an easy flow relationship. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that breeds understanding.
100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
Wow.
I absolutely love that.
So yeah, girls, be accountable, babes. Like, I know it's not fun. It's never fun.
It's not a nice feeling.
But it's the right thing to do, because you're validating that person in their humanity, and that's very important.
And guys, remember, we're not saying men also don't take accountability, but we're specifically talking about women on this episode. So,
and it's okay to sometimes be told off, guys. It's all right.
Yeah, to be corrected.
I hate
it's all right. And nobody likes it. Nobody.
Yeah,
but it's okay.
Like, who do you think you are?
The more you become,
You're not my dad.
The more you become comfortable with being corrected, you notice your pride goes down. You will literally just be okay with people telling you that. Because for me, now if somebody tells me they offended me, it never makes me be like, I'm just like, okay. I get it, because it's a muscle, you work it, and you become more humble.
Always,
with it.
of course, we acknowledge it's important how it's being presented.
Of course,
said, but
obviously it's going to be easy when someone comes to you. Oh, like you made me feel. Some people come on like a rage,
very defensive,
regardless.
And, that triggers something in you.
Of course,
then it becomes toxic.
But even if they don't, you have to be understanding. I'm not gonna lie, if you've offended somebody, you have to be. That's just my view. But I'm not saying everybody's gonna have the same view.
Is the truth.
But
this episode, I'm in love with it already, and we haven't even posted it yet.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. If there's anything further that you want to add as well, put it in the comments down below.
I want to hear it.
Let us know what you think, which areas you lacked accountability in your relationship.
Yes.
We want to hear it. We want to hear it. Do you know what? Men as well. Men too.
Everybody.
Even though this conversation,
specifically women, please.
Yeah, even though it was directed at women, we still want to hear from the men as well.
Yes.
But obviously, women, don't hold back. Don't be shy. Don't be scared.
I'm so interested in these stories.
Yeah, be honest with yourselves, okay? In fact, we're putting this on Twitter. All right. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate
Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on our social medias.
Yes, indeed.
And that's it for today.
Episode. Bye.
Eddie.
Oh my god.
Bye.